Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Tuesday, it's August 23rd of 2022, and Celebrity in Royal Caribbean yesterday afternoon, after I had already done my video, announced that they are dropping a bunch of the testing and vaccination requirements, so I'm going to give you all of the details on that. We've got great updates from different cruise ships, as well as what's going a little bit more on in Alaska, Skagway, so much to talk to you about today, so let's go ahead and get started. So I want to start right off with the big update from Celebrity and Royal Caribbean. If you are not aware, Celebrity and Royal Caribbean are owned by the same company, Royal Caribbean International, I think it's called. And so they have made the announcement that they are going to follow in Princess's, Carnival Cruise Lines, Holland America in their footsteps, and some of the other luxury cruise lines as well, and take away a bunch of the testing and vaccination requirements. So let's go ahead and go through this. And as I tell you about this, I want you to kind of be thinking, tell me if you would be interested in going on a celebrity cruise, either by yourself or with Gordon and I. I have been, I don't have a group planned for Celebrity yet, but I've been feeling lately that I need to try Celebrity sooner than later, so that is on my list of things to do, and I've just been looking at a lot of their itineraries, a lot of their cruises. They have a lot to choose from, so I'm excited to give them a try, and I was wondering what you all are thinking. So let's go ahead and get started. So yesterday, like I said, Royal Caribbean and Celebrity formally announced that they are welcoming all guests, regardless of vaccination status, beginning with sailings departing on September 5th of 2022 from any U.S. home port except for sailings that will be visiting Bermuda and Canada. And so even as of yesterday, they had to make that differentiation for sailings to Bermuda and Canada. And then I am also going to talk to you about what the updates are for their sailings from ports in the EU, because they do have some updates on that as well. So first of all, for all of their departures starting September 5th, except for Bermuda, Canada, and they also include a trans-Pacific sailing, so crossing the Pacific Ocean. It says, of course, they recommend that if you are eligible for the vaccine, that you be vaccinated, and they do kindly request, as they say, you to please disclose your vaccination status as you board the ship. And I like how they add Grand Cayman. Yesterday I told you that Grand Cayman has dropped their requirements, so now all cruise passengers are able to come ashore in Grand Cayman. And so anyway, if you are going to be on a sailing that meets those requirements, so from the U.S. and not to one of those ports, if you are on a sailing that is 9 nights or less, unvaccinated guests ages 5 and older need to show a COVID test done within 3 days. It can be a PCR test, it can be an antigen test, and it's unsupervised. All you have to do is make sure that you used an FDA-approved COVID test, and that is not too hard. I know that a lot of people have the government tests that they received for free in the mail. You can use those because those are FDA-approved. I looked that up, or any other FDA-approved test that you've got, but there are some requirements that go to that, so stick with me. And now on these 9 nights or less, vaccinated guests are not going to have to test. Then as far as those unsupervised tests, though, it says you have to provide proof of that, either a printed or a digital receipt if you went somewhere and had it done, or a clear photo of the test result or the actual self-test in hand. And so you are not just going to be attesting that you did that test. You are going to have a photo of the actual self-test, a clear photo, it says, so that they can clearly see that you're negative, or you're going to have that self-test with you, okay, to show that it's negative. Okay, and then for sailings that are 10 nights or more, all guests who are ages 5 years or older are going to need to do a PCR or an antigen test, and you can still also do those unsupervised ones. And if you are unvaccinated, You are also going to need to do, of course, an antigen or a PCR test, and everyone needs to do it within 3 days of embarkation. And you also need to bring with you either a copy of the printed results, a digital record of that, or you need to show a clear photo or bring with you that self-test to show that you did it and that it is negative. And so I like that they're kind of having a workaround and making it easier to not have to have everything proctored in person. Helps everyone save a little bit of money and save a little bit of stress in figuring out where to go for that. Now, for departures from the U.S. that are going to be going to Bermuda, starting on September 5th, it says, while requirements for sailings have changed for some destinations, most of Bermuda's local regulation and requirements are still in place. That means that the vaccination and pre-cruise testing requirements remain unchanged. They have removed the boarding day test requirement. Now, sailings beginning September 5th that begin and or stop in Canada, those regulations have not changed either. You either have to be vaccinated or have a medical exemption, and you have to do your pre-cruise, that embarkation testing within 2 days for an antigen test, or within 3 days 2 days, it doesn't matter what kind of test it says, for vaccinated guests, or 3 days if you are unvaccinated. And I know that for unvaccinated, you need to have the PCR test to go to Canada. Now, we're going to talk about all the European and UK departures beginning September 5th, and this does not include the transatlantic sailings, okay? So all of the sailings over in the EU or the UK, but just not the transatlantics. It says, of course, they recommend that everyone be vaccinated who is eligible, and you of course have to show your status, let them know if you're vaccinated or not at embarkation. And if you are going to be on a sailing there that is 9 nights or less, it says guests ages 12 and older who are unvaccinated or not up to date must present a negative COVID test taken within 24 hours of the boarding day if it's an antigen test, or within 72 hours if it's a PCR test. Up to date guests do not need to test for those sailings. The accepted tests, if you do need to do a test for those sailings, are the PCR or the antigen test. And once again, those can be unsupervised. You need to bring with you either the digital copy or a printed out copy of the test results, or else a photo of you with that the self-test, or bring the actual self-test with you to show that it is negative. Sailing from the UK or from the EU that are 10 nights or more, all guests ages 12 years and older must provide a negative test result, and up-to-date guests must provide a negative COVID test taken within 3 days of embarkation. Or if you're unvaccinated or you're not up to date, you must present a negative COVID test taken no sooner than 24 hours of embarkation if it's an antigen, or 72 hours if it's a PCR test. And then finally, those PCR and antigen tests, you can do the unsupervised one. As I've said with all the rest, you either need to bring the printout of the test results, have a digital copy or a photo, or the actual self-test in hand, okay? Now, this is really important if you're going to be sailing on Celebrity or Royal Caribbean from Greece. This is for, it says just sailings departing from Athens, Greece. This doesn't talk about, as some of the cruise lines are doing with others, if you're visiting Greece. This is just departing from Athens. All guests ages 12 and older must present a negative COVID test at embarkation. If it's an antigen test, within 48 hours. And if it's a PCR test, within 72 hours. And it says those tests, the antigen and the PCR, must be taken in person, and they have to be medically supervised. So you can't do the unsupervised for this. It says proof of a negative test can be printed or digital results, is what it says. Now, if you're going to be on a sailing departing from Tarragona, I'm probably saying that wrong, Spain, and I'm just going through all of this because we have so many people in our Let's Go family that sail everywhere. So all guests 12 years and older must do that test within 48 hours for an antigen, within 72 hours for a PCR test. It says the PCR and the antigen test either have to be done in person, or supervised virtually. You cannot do the unsupervised test for those sailings, and so you either need to have the proof of that test, either printed out or with the digital results. And it reminds us once again, under those sailings from Tarragona, Greece, it reminds us that the unsupervised testing is not accepted for sailings from Greece. So I think they just want to make sure that everybody knows that. Now they also have sailings, it says departing from Haifa, Israel. Like, how fun would that be? Those are some of the cruises that I'm looking at, because Celebrity has amazing cruises that include Israel. So there you go. They've got a lot of amazing cruises. And don't all the cruise lines? They all do. So anyway, I just think the whole world is our oyster, and we should take advantage and go whenever we can, wherever we can. So anyway, so those sailings that are departing from Haifa, Israel, all guests 12 and older must have a negative test. And once again, 48 hours for an antigen, within 72 hours of embarkation for a PCR test. And it says that those also have to be taken in person or supervised virtually. So they do need to be the proctored tests. It says proof of a negative test, once again, can either needs to be printed out or have the digital receipt. So they do also have guidelines if you are leaving from Italy and you are visiting Greece on your cruise. If you are doing that, and if it says if the sailing departs from any Italian port and makes at least one stop in Greece, this is what's required. All guests who are ages 12 and older must have a COVID test done. This is before embarkation, not before you get to the port in Greece. Okay, this is before embarkation. You've got to do an antigen test within 48 hours or a PCR test within 72 hours. It says that, of course, that PCR or the antigen test has to be taken in person or supervised virtually. And then for the proof of that negative COVID test, you either have to have a printed out one or else the digital receipt that they give you from doing that supervised virtually. Then finally, sailings departing from Italy, but you're not going anywhere in Greece. And this is the last one, so don't worry. For this, guests who are ages 12 and older who are unvaccinated and who are not up to date with their vaccines must present a negative COVID test within 24 hours of embarkation if it's an antigen test, or within 72 hours if it's a PCR test. Up-to-date guests, and so up-to-date in the EU, from everything that I have read, you have to meet that requirement that you have your vaccines, and then if it's been more than 9 months since you received your original vaccines, you need to have the one booster that you're eligible for. Nobody is talking about a second booster, so don't worry about that. But that's what it means to be up to date there on sailings from the EU and the UK. So if you are up to date, you do not need to test for those sailings. This is just right here at the end of their requirements. They talk about cruises that are visiting Greece, and this is a little bit of what we have been waiting for, and I'm really excited and really I don't know that I feel urgent, but I really feel like we need to hear this from the other cruise lines as well, because this is the first mention that we have had of what is going to be required on those sailings if you are going to visit Greece. So if you are sailing on any sailing that visits Greece and you're vaccinated and up to date with your vaccines, you don't have to worry about this. But if you are not and you are ages 12 and older, it says you will require additional testing to be completed on board at their own expense in order to go ashore in Greece. It says any sailing ending in Spain, guests ages 12 and older who are unvaccinated or who are not up to date will require additional testing to be completed prior to debarking in Spain at your own expense. And I have not seen where they say how much they charge for that. So just be aware that on those sailings to Greece, and if you're on a sailing that's going to debark in Spain and you're unvaccinated or you're not up to date with your vaccines, indeed you are going to have to be tested again, and you're going to have to pay. So just thought I would bring you all up to date with that. That is a lot of talking. I know that's a lot about Celebrity, but now if you are going to be sailing on Royal Caribbean or Celebrity, you're going to know what to expect. So I hope that works. If you have any questions, just put them down below and we'll figure it out together. Now, I do have some updates from Skagway. Lots of updates actually, and I'm really pleased with this. So we have our Let's Go family member Melissa, and she sailed earlier this summer to Alaska. And then we've been talking about what's going on in Skagway because of that one dock having to be closed and having way fewer cruise people coming to port there, that it is hard on the people who own the stores there, who own the tour companies, everything. It is hard on them. And so she had this amazing idea. And so I wanted to share it with you. She said that to try to help, she just did some Christmas shopping online at a Skagway shop. She says, I like to finish shopping early so that she can enjoy the Christmas season unstressed. And I really like that approach. She says the Chamber of Commerce has a great resource of places with online ordering. And so I will put that link down below this video. I'll ask Gordon to do that. And she says it looks a little bit outdated, but it's a place to start. And she ordered something from Clothes Rush, and I should have worn the sweatshirt that I bought there. It is so cute. I just love it. Try to remind me, and I'll show you at our next, the next time we do a live, or I'll even try to remember to wear it tomorrow. But they have really cute clothes there at the Clothes Rush store. It's right on the main street there. I think it's called Broadway in Skagway. And every time I go, I look there. And so the sweatshirt that I have that I just loved, I bought it there last year, but I was looking this year and they saw that they still have it. And so I thought, well, it'd be fun to get one in another color, but they didn't have one in another color. But they do have like different things that it's not just like you see in some of the shops that I think are probably owned by the same company that just see the same thing over and over again. So I love this shop, and they have shipping flat rate $5, so you can order lots of Christmas presents or lots of things for you too and support them. And I love, she says, who doesn't want an ulu in their stocking? So thank you, Melissa. That is really thoughtful of you. A great idea. I am going to go on there and buy some Christmas presents for people. So thank you. Okay, so that's the end of Skagway. Alrighty. Okay. Now, the other fun update that we have got coming out of Alaska is in Juneau. Norwegian Cruise Lines has donated some land right there close to the downtown area of Juneau to a company called Huna Totem, and they are going to develop another pier there, another port. So it says Huna Totem will lead efforts to develop a new pier and the related infrastructure on this parcel, and is expecting to submit plans for the year-round facility by the end of 2023. And I had heard the rumor that Norwegian was going to get a new port there, but it sounds like they have donated the land, and then they will work with the people there to be able to develop that. Now, with donating that land, like in 2019, Norwegian paid like $20 million for that land. With donating it, they are going to receive preferential berthing rights at the pier once the whole pier is finished. But I think that this is a really great step. I like that they've donated the land, and so that people that live there can work together and have some income off of it. And I think that they will be delighted also to work with cruise lines to be able to help more cruise passengers be able to come there, because that really helps support their economy there. I don't know if you know this, but like Juneau, you only arrive there by airplane or on a boat. You can't drive to Juneau because there's no roads, don't go there. And so I think this will really help them with tourism and help support their economy. Now we've got a couple of updates from the Discovery Princess. We've got our Let's Go family member, Andrew. They were on the Discovery Princess last week, and so he said that they did get a lot of rain. On the day they were in Juneau, they got 2 inches of rain. So I've told you before, Juneau is indeed in a rainforest, and it sounds like it rang true that day. So 2 inches of rain. He says they were not able to go into Endicott Arm due to the zero visibility in the fjord, and this is just kind of what happens. Sometimes when you're in Juneau, you are in all of Alaska, you have weather like that. Some days you have the brilliantly sunny days like we had when I was there in June, and lots of things in between. So he said that the crew and service was fantastic, and he didn't think it seemed like there were any crew shortages. Not many guests didn't wear masks. He says they didn't hear anything about COVID cases on the ship. Honestly, besides a few people wearing masks, our cruise experience was like it would have been in 2019, he said. The Skagway water shuttle and tender boats, so they were on the Discovery. They had to use those. He said indeed they were inconvenient, but I really don't know what else they can do at this time. I know that I'm sure it's tempting to let people off and walk along that dock there along the where the landslide was, but it could slide at any time, so that would be not a good option. And then finally, he said the Camp Discovery program was first class. Their 3-year-old and 6-year-old never wanted to leave. And I have heard that time and time again from people on the Princess ships, and quite frankly on Holland America. I heard that when I was on. The kids always want to know when they can go back, or they don't want to leave. It's really sweet. So that shows they really do a good job. He said the food was delicious. They ate almost exclusively at the buffet and found the food quality to be excellent and always a great selection. Their dining room dinners were also first class, and the ship was absolutely beautiful. So I just wanted to let you know about that. The other thing is someone else posted on our Let's Go Travel Tips Facebook group, and they were just on the Discovery that same week, and they said that there were 4,653 passengers on board. I think that was probably like for the whole ship. On the Discovery Princess, they top out at about 3,660 guests is what they can handle. So it sounds like they had a great number of crew, and like everything was going great. So I really appreciate that. They said there were 2 medical incidents. One, the person was okay. The other one, they had to be evacuated. And that deck 9 is where they have cabins set aside for people that need to be quarantined for COVID. So I really appreciate those updates from last week. You guys are just amazing. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is we've got our Let's Go family member is on the Discovery Princess right now, and they are having a lovely time. She says that the staff are friendly and happy to assist. The buffet is very crowded, but that's, to be expected. She said that they are sailing with 400 children and 3,100 adults. The food has been good. The Wi-Fi is slow, but it's probably because it's Alaska. The Medallion app is working great, and they're having a great time. So I was really happy to hear about that. Thank you very much for the update this week on the Discovery Princess. I know everyone likes to hear about it. I always like to know what's going on board the ships, even when I don't get to be there. But it also really helps everybody who's like going next week or the week after. So thank you very, very much. I just wanted to let you know also, this is from the same Andrew who was just on the Discovery Princess, and I'm going to go ahead and share it with you because I think it would be really valuable for all of you who are looking for a cruise right now. And so he said that they just booked a 7-day Mexican Riviera cruise out of on Holland America out of San Diego, and because they have such great deals going on right now, they've got 40% off of the staterooms and kids sale free, plus the first and second person, the gratuities are included. Their family of 4 will cruise in a veranda stateroom for $1,900. Like, you can't beat that. And so if you're looking for a cruise, there are a lot to pick up. There are really good rates right now. Also on, I was just looking at Holland America to Alaska, and there are like amazing fares. Like they were starting out interiors like at $300 something. And so if you are trying to pick up a last minute cruise, I would definitely have a look because there are lots of really good ones to pick from. So the last thing that I want to talk to you about is a question that popped up in our comments. And this lady said if she books through a Princess Hotel with points, so she'll you can see what the Princess hotels are. And if you want to stay at one, you can book separate from Princess. The way they'll do it is Princess will book X number of rooms in a Princess hotel. And then when you book with that, Princess will pick you up at the airport. They'll take you to that hotel. And then when it's when you end up coming, when it's time to go to the ship, they'll pick you up at the hotel. You'll have the transfer to take you to the ship. It also works the same if you stay at a Princess hotel after a cruise. They'll take you from the ship to the hotel, and then when it's time to go to the airport, they'll take you from the hotel to the airport. That's how they do that. It's really a very nice system. But, of course, it costs more to do that per person, and so if you want to stay at a Princess hotel, you can stay at a Princess hotel, but, and so like when we were in Rome, the Best Western Royal Santina there, it is a Princess hotel. And so we stayed there, but they had sold all the slots that were available through Princess before we even decided to go on that cruise. And so we just paid with our own money and stayed there. Now, this lady is wondering if she uses her points, books at a Princess hotel, can she still get the airport to the hotel and the hotel to the port transfers? And so she has two questions. So we'll start with that. So if you want them to pick you up at the airport and take you to the hotel, you need to book you have to book with the Princess Hotel. I called, I double checked. You need to do that. So when we just were staying in Rome there at the Best Western Royal Santina, one of the days we did see the Princess Rep in the lobby. I think it was the day before the day that we were going to be leaving the hotel and going to the ship. She was there, and we actually talked to her. She was very nice, and if we would have wanted to, we could have booked to take the Princess transfer from the hotel out to the ship, but they were not going to be leaving until like 11, and we wanted to go a little bit earlier, and so we just decided to stick with our original plan. And so in order to be able to book that transfer, you're going to have to catch the Princess Rep in the hotel. Now, she was not there when we would leave the hotel early in the morning and come back later in the evening after dinner. We literally caught her when we came back around lunchtime one day. It was incredibly hot, and so we just decided to go back to the hotel, put down the packages of what I'd bought, and then get lunch somewhere close by there, and then go out again. So that's what we were doing. We know this really good little restaurant that's like around the corner from there, so we went and had lunch there. But so that kind of complicates things, and so I would say what you can do is go ahead and have a plan in your mind. Go ahead and book that hotel if you're wanting to do that. And then if you're fortunate enough to catch the Princess Rep and book it from there, you could do that. When I talked to the Princess person on the phone, there was not an option to book the transfer from that hotel separate from booking that hotel with Princess. And so maybe you could catch them, and then if not, just take a taxi to the port, or take the taxi back to the airport and get the Princess transfer from the airport to the ship, just whatever you would like. But you would just have to be lucky enough to catch the Princess Rep to book that. The other thing she said is they've got a late night she's got a late night flight out of Anchorage, and she wants to tour that whole day. And so she was wondering if the shuttle will just leave 3 hours or so prior to her flight, or is she subject to leaving in the morning. So first of all, I would just say do your own thing. If you want to tour all day long and go to the airport late, don't book a Princess transfer from a hotel or anything else. I would say do your own thing, and then when you're all done with your touring, take a taxi or an Uber, whatever system you want to do, or some tour guides will drop you off at the airport. We've had that before, and so just figure out your own system. I wouldn't worry about involving them, because it'll just go smoother. You won't have to worry about meeting anyone else's schedule, and so I would say definitely just plan your whole day touring and then take yourself to the airport when you get done. So the reason that I tell you all this is I hope that you kind of see like a little bit of how you can think about things to figure out what to do. Put your questions in the comments. I'm happy to help you. And we have so many Let's Go family members that have traveled far and wide, that have done so many different tours and booked so many different things and done things in different ways, and they really are amazing at lending a lot of advice. And if you haven't joined us yet over at our Let's Go Travel Tips Facebook page, join us there, because that's a really good place to post things, and lots of people see it and will pick up and answer. So we would just love to have you there. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do subscribe. We do need you with us, and I think you need us too, to stay up to date with everything that's going on with cruising, and to have an amazing Let's Go family to associate with. If you appreciate these videos, would you please give this one a thumbs up? And I will be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.